G'day guys, I'm doing some work on 6000s and this is the, well, these are replaced. These inductors have been replaced on one of those microphonic 6000s. Now, that is not my handiwork. That's definitely not my soldering there. That's how the detector went wherever it went and came back. So it's probably not as bad as it looks, but yeah, I think it's, I hope they used non-acidic, no clean flux, because there's a lot of flux on it. But anyway, like I say, not my doing. And I've got this one here, which I'm doing at the moment. And I'll just show you quickly that the existing or the original inductors are sitting there. Those things with little black stripes on them. It's exactly the same as, well, I'll do it like this. Hang on a second. If I hold it like so, it's probably out of focus and that, but we'll see how I go. You see that chip with all the legs on it right next to it on the left hand side? Well, that's the chip, same chip, and that's those devices on the left hand side. You can see they are different. So for some reason the structure of these ones here tend to be well, basically microphonic. You vibrate them, they cause a problem. So I don't know why, but they obviously do. That's why they replace them. I don't know why else they would replace them, but yeah, that is after it's been replaced. So yeah, definitely you can tell what comes out of the factory and what gets in the rework. There's a big difference there. Anyway, apart from that, I'm going to go and, I've said this before, but I'm going to do another video on this device, on this, well, on a 6000. And I'm going to get this and I'm going to attempt to put this back. Oh dear me, that is a bad move, taking the phone out of the tripod. But I'm going to try and put it back in the tripod and try not to stop the video, because it's very likely it will. It'll touch a button or something and it'll go pear-shaped. But I'll try. We'll see how we go. Well, the other thing is that the phone will go flying across the room. But I carve gouges in this mount, so it actually grabs it now. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to show a few things. I think there's a lot of people running around with these detectors, and they could be susceptible to a bit of noise. Just bear with me while I settle this up. I'm running the microphone and the remote microphone and a little receiver stuck in the phone, because people tell me, or some people have told me, that the audio is low, and I can understand that. As soon as you get away from the microphone on the phone, it all drops to zero. But I've also noticed that if you talk too loud, this wireless microphone setup distorts. Well, what do you expect for $19 from China? But yeah, anyway, I'm going to set this up properly. I'm going to show you a few things and you should take note. Okay. Now, let's do this first. You can see the box, okay? If you can see in there, and someone's turned the top light off. Hang on, just turn that back on. People put their hands in through my door and turn the light off for whatever reason. You can see that carbon there. It goes all the way to the bottom, all the way to the hole. I've made mention of this before. Here, there is a tiny, tiny trace of carbon. Here, there is none. But I'll show you anyway the whole scenario, why I think this is a bit weird. Because this is creating a floating ground. And when hang on, let's try that again. not a ground because it's not grounded. Okay, it's a floating shield. Okay, so it's like a shield with no arm attached to it. But anyway, no. Let's have a look. I'll get the meter out here, and I'll show you some things. I'll make sure I've got it all in frame shot, just so I don't muck it up. Hang on a sec. I've got to undo that and spin that around. Wouldn't it be good to have a cameraman? Okay, here we go. We're on diode beep range, very low ohms, Hope you can hear that through this microphone. Anyway, it's beeping away. You can probably see the digits there. But if I go on the carbon in here, and I'm about 1 inch 25 mil apart like that, it's basically a short circuit. If we get a 200 ohms and I put it on there, what is it? 8 ohms, 7 ohms, whatever it's going to go down to. It depends how hard I push into that carbon or graphite, whatever it may be. So say 7 ohms over an inch, okay? Here's the interesting thing. I'll get one of these, I'll put it on, actually, I'll put it on 200,000 ohms, okay? 200,000 ohms, I'll get this and I'll stick this here. Now, looking at that, that touches nothing. It touches nothing on this end of the box, this end, where the rest of it goes on. Nothing connects. There's no tracking to anything onto the carbon. It's just not there, okay? So it's floating. It all stops there. So we go on here, and I go around, and I'll touch this. And if I can push really hard, we get about 2,000 ohms. I push there. There's, make sure I'm actually on it. Yeah, nothing. There, nothing. That's nothing. There's nothing there. Oh, hang on. Oh, I had a bit of a read there. It's actually gone down to 0. Right there. Actually, I think I'm pushing in so hard. No. It was there and now it's gone. There's a bit of a divot there. I don't know what's going on there, but anyway. Go around here. Oh, there's a bit of movement there. I'm right in the lip, like where we should have a really good continuity. And I think I just rubbed it all off just about. It's gone away. Hang on a sec. No, there it is. No, open. Please show up again. I got my fingers jammed hard on the carbon on the other side. There's nothing. Oh, there we go. I'm rubbing it. Come on, come on. Basically, there's really no continuity there. There's nothing. Okay. So if we go inside this box, I'll do it on continuity just to prove it. Inside the box. Okay. If we put that on ohms, what have we got? 16, 17 ohms. Okay. So the carbon is conductive all the way, but it doesn't go really to the outside the box. There's a little bit of a fleeting glance of conductivity. It's very high ohms. So let's go to the nut. This nut, it's anodised, okay? You know, anodised is an oxide. It is non-conductive. So if I get the nut and I get my multimeter leads on that nut and I touch it, there's nothing. So I'm touching, it's an alloy, there's nothing there. Go on the other side, there is nothing there. There's no conductivity. If you actually touch the threads, you'll get conductivity because they've been, well, hopefully, somewhere, come on. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? It's a non-conductive nut. Of course it's not. It has to have conductivity because it's made of metal. Okay, this is freaking me out. What's going on here? Come on, let's go high ohms. 200,000 ohms. What have we got? Come on. Hang on a second. No, that's metal. That's metal. Maybe the anodizing is so damn done so well that no matter what, I'm not getting anything through the threads. Let's try again, because this is really weird. Okay, this makes the problem even worse if it is the case. I don't believe that. There's nothing there. This is very, very strange indeed. I'm going to have to do something about this. It makes no sense whatsoever. That is definitely alloy. Okay, I know it is. I can hang on. I'm biting it to prove it, like you prove gold, but I'm not biting it that hard. Okay, now I am absolutely well. There's no. How can there be conductivity here, right? Okay, on the other side of this, you could say this here goes into the holder on the other side. You can't really see in there, but there is a nut shape down there. I probably need a more light down there or something. But the thing is, this rubber washer is standing that off, and it cannot touch because the washer goes hard on the inner plastic, right? Now, if I go on this threaded bit here, we should have continuity. Come on, it's metal. There we go. It's so well anodized. Okay, just on the very tip of that, I can see the alloy. The rest of it, hardly anything. There we go. You've got to push. I don't want to damage the threads. That's what I'm getting at, right? And if I go to the nut, and if I go there on the nut, I'm pushing like crazy on it, and come on, bite it. Right in the corner, there's a little bit there where the alloy's not plated on properly, or I mean plated, but hasn't anodized properly. There we go, right in the corner, and it's all over the shop anyway. It's not a good conductor. Okay, so I can prove this quite easily. That's going to do nothing. If it bites on the threads do not touch that. They don't touch it. Because I've already done this, of course. And even if I drop that insulate this out, okay, I'll drop this out. That's a neoprene type washer. I'll get this and I will put it in, and let's see if there's any way, shape or form we get continuity. This point here is earth, ground, whatever you want to call it. So I touch there and I can see the, and without that washer, we got continuity, okay? I'm right near to the threads there. So, oh, I didn't show you the carbon, but we got continuity to the thread, so we know that is ground. So if I go on here and I touch the ground in here, what am I getting? And I'll put it on 2K. I'm pushing it the board forward, trying to get some continuity on that graphite, carbon, whatever it is, and I'm wiggling it, and 1.4K. And you've got to remember the shield is just a few ohms. So if we get that, we can say, okay, we can, with the edge here, just get some conductivity. What do you think happens when we put this on? Right? Good night, Irene. That's how it is. This is how it goes, right? So we'll stick it back in. There we go. Got in the right spot. Okay, we'll do the same thing again. I'll get on the carbon. I'll do it this way because I can see what I'm doing better. Okay, we're on the carbon in there. And I can touch it here. And I'm pushing. No continuity. No continuity. I'm pushing. I'll push really, really hard. There's nothing. Okay. So this nut, even though it may possibly, with a slight chance, get continuity by biting through here, that is 100% insulated from whatever we have on the outside of that plastic. There is no way this can be connected to ground. I mean, the carbon inside, it just doesn't connect. So a way to do that would get that nut, right, and on one face of it, it has got a bit of a chamfered bit at the front, and it's very flat at the back. I would get some wet and dry paper on a piece of glass or marble bench top or whatever, and round and round and round, and grind that down. Even doing so may cause continuity. It may not. You also may have to get a diamond scribe and scribe the threads to get the anodizing off the threads. Okay. Obviously, that's put there for a reason, and it may be a earth return for stray fields being generated in the detector. I don't know, right? I don't know. I didn't design it, so I don't know. I haven't gone and made up a probe and stuck it down the side while it's working, and it's just too much to do because then you'd have to make extensions for this and all sorts of stuff. But it's there for a reason. When you have a look at this, the company didn't do all that just for fun. That is proper conductive shield. Okay, it's a proper shield, absorbing shield. Stray radiation. It could also be to do with any radiation coming into the detector, coupling into the circuits, because these are quite sensitive. So it's got to do with something like that. It is definitely there for a reason, but it is totally ineffective. It doesn't connect. Okay, unless someone is going to tell me that it's all meant to be floating. The whole thing's meant to be floating and not grounded. But the thing is, and I'll tell you this, I've done these detectors. I've done a couple of them before. And what I did, I redid around the input stage. I did do the nut, and I actually got full continuity through here, and the detector was quieter out in the field. Okay, so that would probably nullify any argument that it's meant to be a floating shield. It doesn't make any sense. It's not going to do anything as such. Even if you got any type of shield anywhere, you just wouldn't paint it. Say you wanted to shield a room or whatever, you wouldn't just paint it on a few walls. You would ground it. It all has to be grounded, and it's not. You could say it's partially, capacitively grounded by a few picofarads from the metal through the anodized oxide, aluminium oxide, or aluminum oxide, whatever you want to call it. We'll just call it alloy. And maybe it. I'm really clutching at straws here. Sorry, but it's one of those things. It's like when I found in the GPs years ago that all the screws just went through plastic on the front covers. They had clearance to the aluminium foil on the inside, and then it went to the case. So you had a case, a screw was connected, but the whole front panel, the foil was floating. It wasn't doing anything. And if you had a look at detectors after I made mention of it, that they Minelab started taking away some of the paint off a mount point on the back part of the detector so that it would actually connect, because the whole back of it was painted as well. You know, if you look at, I don't know if I got one around here. I probably have, of course I have. If you actually look at these, I've done a bit of work, extra work on this, but if you look at one of these, that's a 4500. All that paint there is totally non-conductive, and the silver foil goes on here. How's it going to connect? It's not going to connect. Screws on plastic, goes in here. Yeah, screws connected. It's not connected to the plate here, so there's no shielding. And what they started doing is this sort of business here, where they just scuff that part there. You see it on, if you open up your own detector, you'll see it. But you know, on this one, I've gone around and I've done the other side, and on the front of the detector, I've done all four of them. I think this is my detector, so I've done there to make sure it's got a really good few ground or earthing points. It's really, isn't it funny? We call it grounding. It's got nothing to do with dirt, and earthing, it's got nothing to do with the earth. But you know, we just call it basically a return point, I suppose, to whatever the supply is. So these are all, normally we'll call it negative to negative to ground, negative to case. So it goes back to the negative of the supply, which is normally a ground plane, and yeah, it all shields things that way. But yeah, this is the same sort of thing. When these were coming out, there was all painted there, and there was no continuity. And we're seeing the same thing here. I think it's just an oversight. People would think, oh, you're putting a metal nut on there, it's going to definitely ground or connect, and it doesn't. So you can check for yourself. You know, I've had, I don't know, how many of these have I had come in? Probably five or six, and none of them connect. They just don't. So it's not just a one-off. So, you know, even if I get this on here and screw it on, eventually we'll get it right. There we go. Can we get any continuity? Like I'll do it up to there. David's trying to get hold of me again. I'll do it up hard onto that there. So we should have continuity, shouldn't we? If I go anywhere on that nut, we'll just see. There's nothing there. There's nothing. It just doesn't connect. It doesn't bite through that oxide. So it's thread to thread. It just doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So what you got to do, you will have to, on your own detectors, if you want to do this, if it's in warranty, it might be an issue. It's out of warranty, who cares? But what I would do, I would get some of the, like that black shielding paint they use in guitar cavities, get it from a guitar shop somewhere, off eBay, whatever, and just paint from in there, up the side, and around where that nut goes. And also file down the nut, because it's just no continuity. Unless someone wants to tell me it's meant to be floating, okay, then you can say it's meant to be floating, and I don't know what I'll do. I might burst out laughing. It's not meant to be floating, it's meant to be connected, because why would you attempt to connect it and then it's not connected? Why would you go to all that trouble? You know, it's just an oversight. You could get, would it work? No, it won't work. Sorry. No, I had an idea and I was just thinking, could I do something to make it work? No. You have to paint it. Maybe you got to go get some of this stuff. Don't get this much. You don't need all that because it'll last you forever. This is like, I don't know, 12 years old, still working good. They say it's only got a shelf life of 12 months or 18 months. No, it's still perfect. Just shake it up a lot and it works fine. So, you know, that's what we get to when we get into this stuff. We just find these funny little quirks. It's, you know, that there is, you know, well, it's going to stop the water getting in, I suppose. But yeah, it doesn't bite anyway. There's no metallization. It's all, you know, alloy oxide, and oxides do not conduct. Well-known fact. So that's that. That is a bit of a head scratcher. How am I going to make sure that it bites from the inside and the outside, doesn't wear off, doesn't, you know, what would be even worse if it was making and breaking, like touch, not, you know, not touch. It would make noise in the detector. I know, because of the capacitance effect of that shielding on the circuit. It would probably sit there and make woo-woo noises as it made contact and broke contact. Does it do that? I don't know. It's very, very feasible. It could do that. This is all my opinion, by the way. Just my personal opinion. I might be totally wrong, right? It may be manufactured that way on purpose, right? But in my personal opinion, I say that I don't think so, okay? Got to be careful what you say of these things. People don't like their products getting poo-pooed or anything pointed out. They hate it. But, you know, please inform your customers that this could be possibly an issue. You know, imagine the poor bugger walking around the bush and his detector's making noises every so often, and you know, everyone just shuts up about it and says nothing. You know, and he thinks it's you know, something else altogether. He might think it's atmospherics. He might think it's his detecting style. Might think it's the coil. Might think it's this, that, and it might be just that. You know, I'm just pointing out possibilities of what possibly could be wrong. I'm not saying it is, saying possibly. My opinion. And we're all legally allowed to have opinions, right? It's in the Charter of Human Rights, signed by a lot of signatory countries in The Hague, and it's protected speech. You're allowed to have an opinion, right? I can't go and say something like, oh, they ballsed up, blah, 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 and it wasn't true, right? Because then they'll go you over it. So it's my opinion, okay? To all their hungry little lawyers out there, my opinion. And we know what lawyers are like. They want to get in and, you know, try and make some dollars off everything. So an opinion. So you can't sue people for having an opinion. And pointing out factual evidence. It's factual. It is what it is. So, yeah, I can't explain it any better than what I have. I think I nailed it pretty well. My opinion's nailed it. I haven't nailed it. My opinion has nailed it. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it has. Maybe it hasn't. Who knows? But, you know, there's a history of weird stuff from Minelab. 4000s, all the switches didn't work. Not all, oh, sorry. Some switches didn't work when you turned them on. The contacts, something happened to the contacts and it didn't work. They had to all be replaced, and they put clickety-click switches in there rather than the push buttons. Do you remember that? Sorry for dragging that up, but you know, there is case history here of faulty switches. No, I'm not going to go into anything else, but that was an obvious one at the time. You can go and read on the forums about it if they're old enough. It's all there. It's all documented on the internet, which is quite handy. dear me, I just dropped that out. There we go. Get back in there. So yeah, this thing's going to get some upgrades. I'm going to do some study on these and try and work out why the hell these are microphonic, or part of a microphonic network, and why just changing them to those flatter versions fixes that microphonic interference problem, which everyone knows about anyway. So I'm not saying anything new that people don't know about. But I will say this, Minelab make really, really good detectors. They do. The functionality, the way it works is really, really good, because we know that, because, you know, I'm not going to say other brands and mention them, but there are other brands of detectors, very, I won't say similar because they're not really, but they're attempting to do the same thing. And the Minelab products just leave them in the dust. I don't use anything else for my own well, currently I'm not using anything else for what I do when I go detecting. I always use the Minelab stuff. It just works better. You know, I go down a slippery slope when I start mentioning other things and, pointing out this and that, because, I don't really, I don't really want to do it, because normally what happens, it all blows up and people get their knickers in a knot and it goes pear-shaped. You get accused of all sorts. So that's that. Yeah, it's what it is. The only thing I don't like is little sealed modules there for the receiver. But that's no big deal. We have worked out ways around that one too. Just persevere. Just never give up when you're doing upgrades on these detectors. Something always will pop out of the woodwork and you'll go, aha. So a lot of the pins on it, you look at all those pins there, most of them are ground or earth, well, or negative supply in this case, to the ground plane on the board. So a lot of them don't do anything except all connect together, and probably you go to a common ground substrate in the board. It's probably ceramic or alumina board in there. I don't know, is it? But yeah, it's a very, very good device overall. If I had to use another brand detector and I had a choice between, I'll tell you this, I'll tell you some factual stuff. If I had a choice of using another brand detector and an old SD2200 from Minelab, right, I would pick the SD2200. I'm not joking. I would choose that detector. I would. So it might sound strange, but I would. It'll pick up small stuff with a small coil. It'll also go very, very deep, and a lot of the other ones don't. And a lot of the other ones too do not handle hot ground as well as the Minelabs. Even the first Minelabs, even the 2000 handles hot ground quite well, and the 2200 is a damn good detector. There's nothing wrong with it. Maybe it's a little bit noisy, but it's people who still use those detectors. Professionals still use those detectors in certain circumstances. Most will have a newer detector just because it's quieter and more of a Lamborghini sort of thing. But a lot of people, go back to, the old stuff they use in particular circumstances, just because it'll have an edge or go deeper or be more optimized for a different coil or whatever, something like that. Yeah, so anyway, people, I really have to come up with an easy fix cure for this. I think maybe I really think probably a bit of wet and dry on this. Just take the alloy off it on the back so it goes down. Paint this, goes down hard on it, and it should fix that possible problem. If it is a problem or it's meant to be floating, we don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say too much about it in being adamant on it, because you know, if you say something and it's wrong and you point it out and you say it as fact as it is and it's wrong, then people will try and turn it into a Christmas dinner. You know what I mean? They'll try and make a feed out of it. If you just give your opinion of your discoveries and it's factual, well, it is what it is. It's also educational. Is it or isn't it? It's the big question. But anyway, I'm going to take this down, ground it and everything, because I know it'll work better. But because that's my opinion from my personal experience by doing that. I'm just trying to help you prospectors out if you're running around with a possible problem. Maybe not, but it may be. I don't know. Well, I do, but I'm not going to say definitively one way or the other. But what I would do, in my opinion, is connect that to that. Okay, that's where I'll leave it. I'm running the microphone, the plug-in microphone and that, so hopefully it didn't distort, because I know these things do, and if it distorts, I'll listen to it, and I'll quite cheerfully throw this equipment in the bin, and I will go and buy something a little bit more professional that has a bit more dynamic headroom and doesn't start banging the walls, as we say, or banging the ceiling in this case. Anything that hasn't got any good dynamics is going to sound horrible and distort. So hopefully it's not doing that. Give me your opinion on the audio anyway using this. Tell me if it's good, bad, or it needs to be flushed. And I think I'll leave it there on this 6000, and I'll get stuck into it. I've got another couple to do, so they're all going to have the same done to it. And yeah, and I still haven't even got onto everyone's 5000. Sorry guys, but it's first in the door, first served, and I've been snowed with a lot of stuff. And I've also doing development work as well on the side, and I'm probably working 18 plus hour days. So bear with me. I'll get everything sorted. And yeah, the guys that won the competition too, make sure you send your details in. I don't know. If you contact us, it ends up with David. You got to tell him your details, and I'll just cross-check it to make sure that it's genuine, real person and the right details, or else we'll have problems. So yeah, do that, and we'll get this, these opals and that gold, which was in the giveaways. I'll get it out to you fellas, hopefully tomorrow. And yeah, that's that. Okay, well that's one decent blurb on the GPX-6000. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. Even if you're totally confused, maybe you got something out of it by being confused. I don't know. Some people say what I say goes over their head. I'll try and keep it simple. And, I even backtrack, and I go to say something and I go, nah, I'll pull it back, and I'll try and say it simply. And there's other people out there who do understand all the technical mumbo jumbo of it all. And, they probably think that I'm being stupid if I try and backtrack and put it simple. I don't know. It's just trying to keep everyone happy. It's impossible, isn't it? You're going to upset someone and you're going to keep someone happy, and everyone else is in the middle. Who knows? Anyway, enough waffle. We call it waffle because I'm waffling. Catches.